with Mental Health Chats. And I am really excited because I have Fiona Westwood with me today. Hello, Fiona. How are you?
Hi, Claire. I'm good, thank you. And you?
I'm very well, thank you. And we've known each other for a very long time. So if you would like to tell everybody where you're actually based, first of all.
So, yes, I'm based in across Somerset, Bristol, and Taunton.
Brilliant. And it's going to be great for all the listeners out there to find out exactly what you do, because you're going to be talking about the cost of staff turnover today. So what do you do? Why are you an expert on this, Fiona?
So, I'm an experienced accountant and business advisor. I'm a partner at Monaghan's Chartered Accountants, and overall, as a firm, we provide accounting and tax advice to a wide range of and size of businesses and individuals as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And it's really, really interesting because the title says what I'm about to ask, actually, the cost of staff turnover. The REC has done a lot of research on this and actually said that it can cost up to 2.5 times someone's salary to replace them. So we've got the obvious costs, the recruitment costs. But Fiona, if you could tell us all, what are some of the other costs?
So there's quite a few sort of costs to a business overall. There's things like, as you say, recruitment cost. When you recruit someone, even if they meet the bill in terms of have the right experience, they might not always have exactly the same skill set as the individual that you replace. They will also not have the sort of relationships that the individual that's left the organization has, whether that's internal relationships or even with some of your key clients or suppliers. There's also the cost of things like training. So again, they might be an experienced individual, but you'll need to train them on your systems, and they might even know some of those systems, but they perhaps might not know how you implement them. They also won't know some of your processes. Yes, and there's the time of the other individuals that are already in your organization that they will spend getting to know that individual, trusting that individual, but also they'll be the individuals that you'll be relying on to do some of the things that I've talked about in terms of training, introduce to people, relationships. So quite a lot of, but time cost is the key bit there. Yeah.
I was just thinking the word time when you said that, because time is money and that costs a lot. And so do you believe, Fiona, just out of interest, that it is 2.5 times someone's salary, or do you think it's more than that?
I guess it depends, that age-old depends answer, but it could probably be as high as that. When you asked me to do this podcast, I was sort of thinking about it, and I would have said it's at least 1 times the salary and could be up to 2.5 to 3, probably depending on how technical the role is and how senior the individual is.
I was going to say it probably depends on what the salary is, really.
Yeah.
And on that note, then, because you're an accountant, we're going to pick your brains on the actual monetary side. So how does that eat into the profits of a business?
So there's the cash costs that you might expect. You've already talked about recruitment costs. There's the sort of onboarding and training. So maybe if I put it into context, for perhaps someone earning about £50,000 a year, would that be helpful?
Yeah, let's do that one. That would be great.
Yeah. Okay. So depending on what you've had to pay in terms of recruitment cost, that could be £7,500, £8,000 just in recruitment costs. That's a well-known cash cost that people think of leaving the business. There's the cost then of training someone, whether that's a cash cost, an external training. Most of the time it's around onboarding and training, whether that's your HR team spending time or someone in fulfilling the HR role. If you contract that out, obviously you'll have to pay for that. Training costs, as I say, and then quite a substantial cost, I would have said, possibly half their salary is reduced productivity. Which is reduced productivity both in terms of that individual as they get up to speed, but also the reduced productivity of their colleagues who are supporting them in getting up to speed.
You know, a lot of people don't think about that cost. That's a very important cost.
Yeah.
So let's add that all up. So if we had the recruitment costs of a 50K salary is usually, is that 15%, 20%?
Something like that, yeah.
So that, let's say that's 50K salary. You do the maths, you're the accountant. So that's
£7,500, £8,000, something like that. Yeah,
£7,500, £8,000.
yeah.
So the training costs, would that be up
4 or
to
5, something like that?
so we're up to 12, £13,000.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm really interested in this reduced productivity. So what percentage of their salary did you say that was?
Could be about half. So that, that's say 25,000. And the other large cost would be what I might call opportunity costs.
Yep.
So that's lost sales. So whilst you've got someone that's say they're in sales, or say they're in customer service or front facing to clients, that's they won't be generating and continuing a pipeline of new sales. The customer experience will change for a bit, might change for the better, might take them a while to get to know some of those customers. Will those customers, I'm not saying they'll necessarily lose customers. You could lose some customers, but they might not be quite so forthcoming in sales, and it might not come through so quickly. And even things like the impact again on other team members. What are they not doing whilst they're supporting an incoming member of staff?
Definitely. So we have clocked up at least 50K here.
We have, yes.
That is their salary.
Yeah.
So, it can be more and more and more depending on. So let's think about the profit then. If that's taken off your bottom line, your profit, that is a huge amount of money, isn't it?
Yes, that drops straight to the bottom line. It's additional cost. Your profit is obviously your income less any costs. And so if you're completely adding to those costs, that drops straight to the bottom line, straight impact on your profit effectively.
Thank you so much for that, Fiona. And I'm going to pick your brains a little bit more on the monetary side. There's figures. So I've had a client recently that came to me because they had 100 employees and then suddenly 10 of them left.
Wow.
So that's actually 10%, but 10% of a small company of 100 employees has a huger impact than 10% of a larger company of, say, 1,000 employees. So can you outline to us how much that could really cost a company? It's a lot of employees.
Yeah, I mean, the simple maths of 10 people, we've just got to, an easy cost of 50,000. That's it's £500,000 cost potentially. You could argue they might have different salary bands. You could argue perhaps you get some efficiencies in the costs. If you're training, if you have to put some training on internally, you could perhaps train them all at the same time, depending on the roles that you've lost. Certainly some of the basic systems and processes. So you could perhaps reduce some of that, but yes, that's a huge impact. On the other side, it could have a much bigger impact on the existing employees, not just in terms of their time, but the other thing to reflect on which is sort of morale and all of those sorts of things, which Claire, you'd have much more experience of in terms of supporting people around that. But all of that side, whilst it's not a cash, you're not writing checks or sending money out of the business, there's a huge
Yeah.
impact there.
It is a huge, huge impact. And you've just used that figure, £500,000.
Mm.
And I think that would be the minimum.
Yeah.
But we really need to be looking at our bottom line and talking to our accountants, like yourself, to really work out the financial costs, that monetary costs, and then working with somebody like myself, like I do with my clients, so that we can decrease those costs, because that is so key. And I don't think a lot of people realise the detriment, the actual detriment. So it's not just the financial figures, it's the morale, as you said.
Yeah.
It's the frustration. It's the whether or not your existing team want to come to work. Oh, you're being brilliant. Have you got anything else you'd like to add, Fiona?
I don't think so. I think that the key bit for me is the cash cost,
Yeah.
which people might think about. So the most obvious thing is the recruitment cost. People often think about that. It's all the hidden costs that are less straightforward to think about and identify. And obviously, you know, once you've lost, in your example, you know, 10% of the business, the huge, you know, impact on everyone else in the business it cannot be underestimated.
Yeah. And that word huge, it is a huge impact. So thank you so much, Fiona.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who would love to get in contact with you. So where can people find you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, that's
Right.
Fiona Westwood. You can find me through our company website, that's Monaghan's Chartered Accountants, or indeed, if you want to drop me a direct email, it's fiona.westwood@monaghan's.co.uk.
You are a superstar, and I knew you would be. And thank you so much for all your insights. Thank you.
You're welcome.